Well, we are back here with our sponsor, Greg Niblock, attorney and founder of Niblock and Associates, our bankruptcy expert, and he's here to talk about the 6 non-bankruptcy options that you have, and then kind of decide for yourself whether you would want to go through one of those things or not.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome.
It was a great, it was a crazy drive in this morning.
Yeah, hard to see,
yes.
huh? Yeah, very
Crazy.
hard, and it's still out there, so
yes.
be careful. Okay, let's talk about, we talked about bankruptcy a lot with you,
right.
and there are some other ways to go.
There
we
are.
wanted to kind of go through that and
exactly.
tell us, you know, how much work that would be,
right,
too.
there's basically 6, and the first one is do nothing. I don't know how many times doing nothing is a good idea, but some folks kind of default to that because when you're in a serious situation, it's hard to know exactly what to do, so
right.
you just kind of do nothing, which is going to result in lots of creditor calls, lots of done letters, and it may end up with a lawyer suing you over the debt.
Right.
And then when they get a judgment, they'll try to execute on that through writs of garnishment and execution where they try to take your property. In fact, after that, if they propound interrogatories on you and you fail to respond to it and the court tells you to do it, if you fail to do that, you could actually go to jail. And I've seen that happen. It's kind of unusual, but it can happen.
It's not going to go away. Just not
right.
answering the phone.
It's not going to go away.
Not answering those letters and doing nothing. It's not going to make it go away.
Exactly.
Although sometimes we hope it will. Okay, your number 2 is pay the debt.
Right. If you can just pay the debt, well, obviously, pay the debt.
We would have done that anyway.
Right, and you wouldn't be listening to this or reading my book. But if you can pay the debt within a reasonable amount of time by making some budget modifications, just do that. So really what we're talking about here is if you owe a smaller amount of debt,
right.
and we're not talking about getting behind on your car, your vehicle, or something like that. Maybe you have some medical bills, or maybe you have just a few credit cards and it's not that much. Just make a few modifications with your budget and pay it down.
Okay, and that kind of leads you to number 3. If you're going to try to do that, maybe call those creditors
right.
and kind of talk to them about it.
Negotiate with them. If you have something to sell, or you have a lump sum of money, which most of the people I talk to, that is not the case at all.
Right.
But if you did have that, if you could get a lump sum of money, you can deal with the people and try to negotiate it down. Now, on the back end of it, the problem is you could negotiate down several of them, but then if you can't do it with one of them, they sue you, well, then you've thrown good money after bad.
Right.
So that is an option.
And mainly an option, like you said, if it's a small amount and you can call and say, hey, I can do $100 a month or something like that.
Right.
But not if it's a large amount.
Exactly.
Okay. Then debt consolidation?
Well, if you can borrow enough money to pay it off.
Is that a good idea?
Now, is that a good idea? Now, you want to borrow money to pay debt. And then the question is, can you actually borrow it? You might have to have collateral like your house.
Right.
Never hawk your house, please. That is a terrible thing. Your retirement plan. Don't hawk your retirement plan because that's fully exempt up to $1 million something. Then you might get a cosigner, but that's going to get a friend or relative involved in your personal issues.
Right.
And what happens if you can't pay it? And then also, when I talk to people that have done this, a lot of times they did it, they owe the money, and then they run their credit cards back up, and it's even worse. So be very careful thinking of even doing that.
You got to be sure you're going to stay disciplined if that's your plan. Okay, there's credit counseling.
Right, and credit counseling typically is a nonprofit. It is a nonprofit organization that tries to help you with your budget and finance and to pay these off. But it only deals with credit cards by and large. It's not going to deal with a house or your car. And the deal is they call the folks up and they get a payment plan, and then you pay a certain amount of money into this payment plan and it goes to those creditors. Well, the creditors do not have to comply with that or agree to that. So you could get all of them but one, and boom, they're suing you and they're after you. Plus, here's the other thing. It's supposed to be nonprofit, so where does the money come from? By and large, it comes from the credit card companies.
Oh, there you go.
So,
all right. And then debt settlement is the last point there.
Debt settlement. This is a terrible problem that I see where people, and the purpose of debt settlement is to try to settle your debt on pennies on the dollar. That's what the commercials say.
Right.
So you'll either pay a fee up front to them, usually around $2,500, and they supposedly go and they negotiate it down, and then you pay them. Well, many times that doesn't happen. They take your money and nothing really happens, and you end up getting sued again. And you could have taken that money and, with somebody like me, got rid of it.
Right.
Because, again, the creditors are not required to comply with this, and they'll also encourage you to not make payments so you get behind, and then the creditor feels like, well, they should try to negotiate it down.
Right.
And it's very rare that it works. There's lots of complaints out there on the Federal Trade Commission and whatnot where people are complaining about that.
Okay,
So,
all great information. I think we just need to tell them how to reach you if
Exactly.
they need to. Of course, Niblock and Associates, just
Right.
give you guys a call, right?
exactly. There it is right there.
Boom.
And of course, bankruptcy is for sure. It's federal law. It is in our Constitution. It's biblically based, and it makes the creditors comply with it. They have no choice in the matter.
And he's got the book for more
Got the
information
book.
if you need it. He'll send it to you, right?
Absolutely. Just give us a call. We'll send it to you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank
we
you
appreciate
so much.